Christians ask, what is the purpose of holy war at the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam if dawah should be spread peacefully? Now, the question of, so this is pretty much the last question, inshallah. Any other questions? Feel free to put them forward. Inshallah, we will try and our team will try to respond to those questions on this topic in the comment section, inshallah. However, the question is now, what was the purpose of holy war? So first correction here, the Islamic war is not titled holy war in the Quran. There is no such title in the Quran as holy war. Holy war was coined by the Christian crusaders. They were the ones who called their war as holy war. Islam does not have that title of holy war, nor does the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ anywhere mention it to be a holy war. However, the title in the Arabic language is given as jihad fi sabilillah, fighting in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, the fighting war in Islam has two conditions. There are several other conditions, but I want to raise two major conditions which will clarify certain aspects of the query. One is, a war or a fight cannot be fought by a citizen of the country. The war and the fight with weapons can only be fought by the official army of the country. That is one major condition. In a Muslim country, if a citizen of the country raises a weapon, then that person is no less titled terrorist in the Islamic Sharia constitution. The only person who has the right to raise the weapon is the soldier, the army, the policeman under the authority of the government. The second is, even that soldier, the army man or the police officer cannot shoot a single bullet without the order, the command of the government of the Muslim country. Unless these two conditions are met, it is not jihad in Islam. Unless these two conditions are met, it is not jihad in Islam. So anyone who says the holy war in Islam, or they say what is jihad in Islam, these two conditions need to be met. An individual, a small group of people, laymen, or a group of extremists, if they want to fight, then that is not jihad in Islam. For it to be jihad, for any fight or war to be jihad, it needs to be declared by the government of the Muslim country. Second, it is only to be fought by the army and the official people in the army and the police force to fight that. Now, coming to the question, which was that how, if Islam allows dawah peacefully, why is there a war? Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands in the Quran to give dawah in Surah Nahl, Surah number 16, ayah number 125. Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah wal mau'izatil hasana wajadilhum billati hiya ahsan. Invite all to the way of your Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, and discuss with them in the ways that are best and most gracious. Now, as far as dawah is concerned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala further clarifies in the Quran in Surah Baqarah, Surah number 2, ayah number 255 and 256. There is no compulsion in religion. It is, you cannot enforce religion on another person. I can explain Islam to a non-Muslim. I can explain Islam to, say, Mark, Michael, Luke, but I can't force them on the point of the gun and say to them, embrace Islam or I'll kill you. That embracement of Islam, that acceptance of Islam is nullified, is not acceptable in Islam, and it is prohibited to convert anybody in this fashion in Islam. So the question by Samir is, then why is there holy war in Islam? War in Islam is for two reasons. Reason number one, to defend the lives, the wealth and the property of the civilians and the borders of the country. So if, for example, Australia today, if anybody is going to attack Australia, whether it be China or whether it be America, okay, don't get excited. America is not at war with Australia, but just giving an example. If Indonesia attacks Australia or China attacks Australia, Australian soldiers are commanded to defend Australia. That is why we have a military. That is why Australian government has Australian Federal Police, Australian government has ASIO, Australian government has the Australian Defence Force. That's exactly the reason, to defend the country. So in Islam, jihad is to defend the Muslim country against the conquerors, against the attacks of the foreign countries, or against the attacks of the terrorists. The second reason for the war in Islam is to bring peace, is to establish peace in a neighboring country, or to establish peace in a far-off land where there is massive corruption and massive bloodshed or genocide. For example, today, as I said, United Nations, they have an army called Peacekeeping Force. What is this peacekeeping force for? This peacekeeping force does not defend countries. They go for offensive wars. They go to a country where there is trouble. They go to a country where there is problem. They go to a country which is declaring war against peaceful nations. So this army goes and establishes peace there through war. This is exactly jihad fi sabilillah, jihad for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fighting war for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only after the command of the government and the constitution of the country, led only by the official army of the country, is to be implemented on a foreign country. America has done several invasions. Australia was involved before World War II in several invasions. British Army had several invasions. And as one of the brothers recently told me, that see, for example, when British Army went and conquered various parts of the world, they colonized the world. The French, they colonized the world. Even in 21st century, when America went and bombarded Iraq, did they give them any choice? There was no choice given to Iraq. They said there are weapons of mass destruction. They faked the weapons of mass destruction. They went and bombarded the entire country, and they fooled the United Nations as well. However, in Islam, for a foreign attack, for an offensive jihad, the Muslim government needs to establish proper reasoning for that. And then they also need to give them the 3 conditions. Condition number 1, either they embrace Islam and establish justice in their country, then there is no more war. Or they start paying tax, or what you call safety tax, to the Muslim government, so that if any other country comes and attacks their country, the Muslim country will protect them. For example, Australia today is in alliance with America. So immediately when China had some sort of grudge with Australia, Australian government immediately contacted the American government, and American government sent a batch of American military to Australia immediately. They dispatched an American military unit to Australia. Why? Because Australia has a treaty, an alliance with America. This is exactly what the Muslim government gives to a non-Muslim government. Either they embrace Islam and join the Muslim country by establishing peace and justice in their country, or if they don't want to do that, then the second is they pay a tax to the Muslim government. In return for that, the Muslim government will protect them against any other conquerors of the world, against any other terrorist of the world. And then the third is, if they don't take these 2, then the third is that there will be a declaration of war. So this has always been the norm of several countries of the world, but Islam had these specific 3 conditions. So the purpose of this taking over, or this war, is not to subjugate a country or the people of that country, but to make sure that they have an opportunity to listen to the Islamic teachings. That is the criteria of dawah. But by giving the opportunity to listen to Islam, you cannot force anyone into Islam. If anybody is forced into Islam, then that acceptance of Islam is not acceptable, and the person who was forced has committed a forbidden act in Islam, and under the Islamic Sharia, that person will be punished. And if he or she hurts another person, then they will even be murdered. They will be killed by the government of the Muslim country for killing another innocent person. Hope that answers the question.